Good afternoon, students. This is Miss Louise coming from my reading house. And since I know that today we're supposed to get a little rain and we got some rain yesterday, I thought I'd continue our series on water. Remember, we talked about the water cycle, then we talked about how we need water. Today we're going to talk about the different ways or the different forms that water can come in. Okay? So today we're going to talk about water as a gas. Okay? And as you see on the picture, you see that these are real photographs. So this book is what? Nonfiction, so it's facts. The book is true. You're going to see real photographs. You may see some illustrations or some charts or some drawings. And that way it lets you know that the information in it is true. So it's written by Helen Frost and about 2-3 other people. Water as a gas. And you see in the picture, like steam. When something's really hot or water's really hot, you see something that looks like smoke. Well, really it's taking the form as a gas. Okay, now we see our table of content. Remember, that's like where if you don't want to read the whole entire book, you can go to whatever you're trying to find information about and see what page it would be on, because the page numbers are on the side. Okay, and in this one we have an index and a word list. Okay, let's see. So this is showing you the 3 forms that water comes in. So water can come in a solid form. So water can be solid, a liquid, like what we drink, or a gas. Water as a gas is called water vapor, and you cannot see water vapor. Now when water is solid, it's like a cube of ice. So that means that it's frozen and it's in a block. So like snow and hail, And when it's liquidy. You can drink it, you can pour it, it can make you wet. Ice can make you wet also. And then a gas form, you really can't see it. Now, we see the sun, we see the clouds. We learned in one book that the clouds, of course, is water. And then we have this big body of water. Could be a stream, a river. No, that's too big for a stream. I would say a river. Might be a lake, could be a part of the ocean. Heat changes water from a liquid into a vapor. So in order for water to turn into a vapor, you need heat. The sun heats water, and water vapor rises into the air, and this action is called evaporation. Say that, evaporation. So what happens with evaporation? Heat hits the water, and the water rises into the air, and it evaporates. So as it's rising up, it does what? It disappears. Evaporation makes wet things dry. So wet clothes dry when you put them in the sun. Okay? Remember how people hang their clothes on a clothesline, and when they're wet and let them stay out there long enough between the air and the sun, those clothes are going to dry and the water's going to come out of those clothes. Where do you think that water goes? It rises up and it evaporates into the air, turns into a vapor. Okay? Now, you know how you see the ground wet after rain? And then when you look a couple of minutes, there's certain spots that are dry. Well, more heat makes water evaporate fast. So the hotter it is, the quicker the water will evaporate. So puddles dry up fast on hot days. Okay? So I want you to think about that, because we're into the summer, and when it rains, like if it rains today and the heat stays hot, you'll see a puddle. Then you come back about 15, 20 minutes, this puddle is smaller. Then you look again, the puddle is gone. The water has evaporated. Look at that beautiful flower. Water vapor turns into a liquid when it cools. So when it's hot, the water disappears. When it's cool, the water vapor, or the steam, or whatever you want to call it, can turn into liquid when it's cooled. So this action is called condensation. Okay, so you can have a glass of ice in your glass. You have some ice or in your cup, and you sit it down, and then you look again, and you haven't moved the glass, you haven't moved the cup, but when you touch the outside of the cup, what do you feel? Water. Because the vapors have turned, it's cool, and it's turned into liquid, and your cup is wet on the outside, or your glass is wet on the outside, like this flower is. Condensation. Condensation can form clouds. So clouds are dust and tiny drops of water. It looks like dust, doesn't it? Doesn't look like water, but it is. And humid air holds a lot of water vapor. So humid air feels wet. Sometimes you can go in the park on a really, really, really hot and humid day, and you look up and it look a little foggy. Well, guess what? That's a water vapor. Because the air is so hot and humid. Yeah, water as a gas. And look at that. Boiling water makes steam. Steam is water vapor mixed with tiny drops of water. I know you should never, ever, ever put your hand over top of steam, because you will not only get burned, you will feel the heat and that hot water, but you'll feel the wetness, the vapor, and the water. So let's leave the boiling water alone, okay? 'Cause that's pretty hot. Oh, look at that. You know how it is when you use an iron. People use steam to iron clothes. So the steam makes things straight, takes the wrinkles out, okay? But I don't think you should use an iron. You're too small. So these are words that you should know. Boil, to heat water or another liquid until it gets bubbles, and water boils, and it tells you how many degrees it boils at. Stay away from that. Condense, to change from a gas into a liquid. Evaporate, to change from a liquid into a gas. And gas is a substance such as air that spreads to fill any space that holds it. Water as a gas is called water vapor. Okay? Humid, damp and moist. Humid air holds a lot of water vapor. So this is a nonfiction book, and in the back you have like an index or a dictionary or a glossary. This would be considered like a glossary. Liquid, a substance that flows freely. Water as a liquid fills oceans, lakes, and rivers. And solid, something that holds its shape. Ice and snow are examples of water as a solid. And then it also gives you some references on other books that you could read if you want to know more about water. And here's your index. Now the index tells you about how many words are in the book and what page you can find those words on that might help you understand that word a little better. Okay? And so that's our little series on water. Okay? And so now we did 3. If I find any more, I will surely pull. Well, thank you for watching, and that's the end of our water story. Now go wash your hands with some water. Bye-bye from Miss Louise.